Hello, this is Eric.
And I'm Tiffany.
We are Terrific Pace Gaming, and we're with
Just Got Played.
Indeed. Today we're going to be reviewing and talking about an expansion for the game Aquatica called Aquatica Cold Waters. Excellent. Right off the top, this basically just brings it up to, you know what? I'm going to tell you all about it in just a second anyway, so let's just do that. Okay, here we have everything that came in the Cold Waters expansion for Aquatica, except the main game board, which I need to show you something later, but everything else is part of the components that came in that. So we'll go over each thing. There's basically two different things going on here. There's basically more cards. So there's going to be, first of all, we add another player. So there's now a white player color. All right, so that's their 4 personal mana rays. And then also, of course, their starting deck, which is exactly the same as everybody else's, just has the white symbol on it. All right, and then we also have, these are character cards. There's a system that you use now. They have different symbols down here in the corner. I know you probably can't see it. That's a circle. That's a diamond. And there's a way now that you don't play with all the cards in the game because that's one of the timers. But you do, there's 2 of 6 different cards that go into the character deck. Now, these do feature some new mechanisms, as it were. To begin with, well, there's a couple of things going on with the new scoring that I'll get into in a minute. But then also, some of them, as you see, have a power here. So after you were to discard, now upside down, after you were to discard this card, while it's in your discard, this one would give you 2 coins. So if your next action would be to buy a character or buy a land, you can use the 2 coins that are on this as it's on the top of your discard pile. So there's a handful of those in this set of extra character cards. Overall, it's just more character cards. And then similarly, we have more lands. And it basically added a new set. In addition to the 4 sets that are in the game, this is now Arctic. So you see all of these lands have the Arctic symbol in their bottom corner. But they basically function the same, the conquer, the buy, and they have their own set of depths with their own bonuses or exploits, as you were. Now, they also have a couple of new symbols going on here. And this is true also for the characters that come in here. It's more what those people call interactive, which generally means a little bit mean. So as for instance, this one, when you cover that depth up, everybody else flips a mana ray. Some of the cards have, when you play this card, get a coin and purchase a character, and everybody discards a card. Things like that. There's not that many of them. They're not that frustrating, really. It might set you back 1 turn from the thing that you were going to do, but overall, it's not that big of a deal. We're not generally big on the mean, take that-y stuff, but I don't think this really bothered us that much. But let's talk about that in review. Anyway, you'll see there's another symbol here, which is a mirror, which basically means that you can to do that, you would just copy whatever else you have somewhere else that you can see. It doesn't have to be a top one. It could be any of them. So in theory, if I had this going on my board, I could say I'm going to mirror that to get 2 warfare during my turn, or mirror that to get a coin during my turn, or mirror a score, or mirror a bump, or whatever have you. And that's basically all the new symbols on the cards, which are the lands, of course. So we have the new set of lands that just get basically mixed in with the other lands as well, also. And just like the character cards, there's a system now for pulling out certain numbers of them so that you maintain the integrity of the numbers for the end of the game. All right, and then also we have 6 new neutral manta rays, not manatees, that just basically get added in there, and they're of course corresponding to different symbols on the bottom of the new land cards. There are 3 new king cards, and for the most part, they take advantage of the new things going on in the game. Also, just another card to get you off to an asymmetrical start. And then there are also 2 more double-sided achievements or goals that you could set up here at the beginning of any game, shuffle them in with your other ones, and find that out. So that's basically the first thing, is just more of everything that's the same with a couple little tweaks to the mechanisms. And then we also have this other part of this expansion, which is a completely different way to do the goals and the scoring. So you would put this board over top of this to completely cover that up. Now you have 2 decks of cards. You have the 1s and the 2s. At the beginning of the game, these would get shuffled up, and 4 of the 1s would go here. And then 4 of the 2s would go here. And now, instead of just getting an achievement and putting your manta down on a spot, these would be activated by purchasing a character. That action will let you purchase one of the new endgame conditions. And as you can see, first of all, we have now 8 things going on instead of 4. And you have to use an action to purchase them. And you see their costs are somewhat expensive. That's 5, 7, 5, 6. Now we go up to the level 2s, 7, 10, 6, and 9. Now they also have this little symbol on them. And that means that you can also pay for these by using scored lands that you already have. So if I have a 5-point land already scored, I could get rid of that and then put my mana ray on this. Or alternatively, if I had 2 coins, and then I could use that 5 along with this to make up 7, and now I'm on there. All right, so these are set, like I said, 1 and 2. And the basic difference between them is these are a little bit cheaper. These are a little bit more expensive. And then also, these will give you bonuses during the game. So if I were to go up here and claim this one, now for the rest of the game, I get to pull 2 discarded characters back into my hand after I scout. Every time for the rest of the game. Over here, I would just have 1 extra coin all the time for the rest of the game. All right, and then the level 2s are more about victory condition scoring and instants. All right, so this is just worth 4 points, 6 points, 9 points, 5 points, straight up easy. These, however, are based upon things you have going on. So for instance, this one will give you 4 points for each type of location you don't have in your scoring pile. So if I only scored Arctics, that means there's 4 types I don't have in there. So that would be 16 points off of this card. This is 8 points for each set of 5 different location types in your scoring pile. So these are going to give you things that you will be scoring if you put one of your manas up there to score that. So to be clear, this card's not going to score for anybody unless they have a manta up there. All right, so in theory, blue could be scoring this one and white could be scoring this one at the end of the game. And then, like I said, at the bottom, you'll see that this set is all about instants. At the moment that I put this up here, I can get a character at no cost. At the moment I put this up here, I get to mirror one of the depths on one of the lands in my player board. This one I get 3 bumps. This one you get to move all the way to the top. One of the lands all the way to the top. And as you saw, there's a whole lot more of the level 1s and a whole lot more of the level 2s. So that's going to be very different for each game that you play, because you'll be looking to get different things, using different bonuses, scoring different things. And that's basically everything now that we have going on. Oh, I missed one thing. There's one more player board. This does raise the player count from 4 to 5. And there's the associated player board with that. And that's basically everything going on with Aquatica Cold Waters. Okay, so that was the expansion. Pretty much laid out for you, Aquatica Cold Waters. So what do you think, babe?
Not a big fan.
How come?
I should have been, because I love that. Just adds more engine building type stuff, abilities or powers or whatever that are going to benefit you as the game goes on. And theoretically, I should like the idea of picking a direction and getting that thing and then really using that to manipulate my turns. But I found that it just wasn't, during gameplay, it just wasn't something that I focused on. And maybe that's because I didn't play it enough times, so I didn't get to the point where I really felt evolved enough to focus on that. But they just weren't my focus. And I felt like I was just as good with the original scoring in the game.
Well, to be fair, there's 2 different things going on in this expansion. All right, first of all, there's just more stuff. And then second of all, there's the additional or replacement scoring for the game. So I think you're saying your main problems with the new scoring system.
Yeah.
I
have no problem with more stuff.
Yeah, really, there's nothing wrong with the more stuff. Like I said earlier, just a little bit, it is a little bit mean, but I don't think that's not a bother. It's more of like, oh, that's all.
It's annoying.
It's annoying, but you move on without it. Overall, I think all the new stuff was great. It gives you another land type and different abilities. I like the ones where when in your discard pile, you get the bonus there, like whether it's a coin or a conquest coin or whatever.
You make the card manipulation a little bit more complex because then you're like, okay, if I do this, then that's going to boost my next turn. So I have that on my discard pile.
Yeah, that's true. Where usually you play tactically, where you just play this turn and then whatever, and then your turn comes up again. You're like, well, I'll just
what's there now?
Right, exactly. But you're right. That actually you use that to set yourself up. Right. Well, I'm going to put a coin up there now to be able to spend that in my next turn. Overall, I think that's true for the whole expansion, that everything in there is just a little bit more complex, a little bit more thinky, and a little bit meaner, which, some people call interactive, but that's pretty much what interactive means. Overall, I think my personal opinion is the extra stuff's great. There's no reason at all, I don't think, to put it in every game you'd ever play of Aquatica. It's just more stuff. Plus, at the same time, even with lower player counts, then it gives you ways to call some of that out to keep the right numbers for the end game. So it switches up the cards that you're using if you play this game more than once every 6 months or whatever. So you'd see different character cards and different lands and whatnot going on. All right. So as for the scoring, I both like and dislike this. Okay. I know she was having a rough time with it. I think basically it was like she said, she just didn't concentrate on it. All right. And it's definitely something that you have to pay attention to, especially the level 1 cards, because they're going to give you bonuses for the rest of the game. So there's no point waiting till the game's 3/4 or 80% over and then going to those. I mean, yes, you're going to get points and potentially end the game if you put your 4th one up there. But what's the point of having a bonus of 1 coin every turn if I wait till
if you're 3/4 of the way through the game? Yeah.
Exactly. And then the other set gives you instants, which are great, but you kind of got to plan those out too, because if my instant is 2 bumps and I'm not ready for 2 bumps, then I just wasted those 2 bumps if I do it at the wrong time. Now I got to plan that out better, or do I just take that? And it's definitely better scoring because it gives you more options. I can score different things depending upon what the card says. So especially the level 2s are like 4 points for every one of this, or 6 points for every time you do this. And I like that because it really lets you focus what you're doing and then build that way to score those points. However, it also complicates and lengthens the game because before they were just achievements. You just said, oh, I've got 8 character cards now, and you put a mana array. And that was it. You got the points. You did that. It didn't cost you an action or anything like that. Right. Now you have to actively use one of my buy a character actions to go ahead and go up there. And they're horrendously expensive.
Very expensive.
They're very expensive.
Unreasonably expensive. Which I get is to kind of force you into making hard decisions about, are you going to use your earned points to convert that to gold so that you can afford some of these things earlier? Or are you going to maybe try to get it not quite that fast, but still so that it's beneficial? I understand the point, but I felt like it complicated the game. It didn't make it a richer experience for me by any means. It just made it a more complicated experience. And if I wanted a complicated experience, I would play Twilight Imperium or something.
You would not play Twilight.
If I wanted to just be frustrated the whole time, yes, that's exactly what I would play.
Yeah, but you want to be frustrated for 45 minutes, not for 12 hours.
I don't want to be frustrated at all.
Well, okay.
I'll just play regular Aquatica.
Right. To be fair, I think a lot of our criticism might be due to the low number of play counts that we've actually had with the expansion. And quite frankly, the game overall. I'm sure you've heard us say many times in the past how many games we play, it's just hard to get something to the table that often. I think if you're a fan of Aquatica, I think you're going to love this. I think it's going to open it up to you. It's going to give you way more to do as far as scoring goes. So I think, and yes, it does make it a little bit more complicated, but I don't think it increases that complexity level to the point where it's a totally different genre.
Right. It's not unobtainable or,
Right. It's not like Lacerda made the expansion.
Yeah. No.
Right. It just ratchets it up a little bit. So
if you've played Aquatica several times and you're kind of feeling like, all right, this is getting a little samey now, that might be a great time to add in Cold Waters.
I agree. I'm sure there's a lot of people that are going to love the way the scoring works. I think probably if we played this a lot, I think I would be one of those people eventually too.
It's more dynamic.
It's more dynamic, absolutely. It gives you way different, even in the same game. Whereas before, there's 4 things to do your achievements that you would score. Everybody's working on the same 4 things. But in the same game, there's 8 options up there. So you and me or 2 other people in the game could be working on 4 completely different sets of things, the way they work together.
Right.
So eventually, I think this will go very high on my list right now. But I'm kind of with you. I don't feel like we've played it enough to really get the base game kind of mechanics and scoring out of the way and start to feel a little samey.
Yeah.
We normally do a what do you love and what do you hate. I think we kind of covered all of that, don't you think?
I think so.
Here and there, mishmash, mixed up together. Is there anything you want to say? Something additional or something we missed?
No, I really don't like Twilight Imperium, so let's just put that one to bed.
Do not invite her to play Twilight Imperium.
Aquatica, I'll come over and play Aquatica.
She played once. That's all. She's
Twilight Imperium, that is not Aquatica.
Right. She got that check mark. So
I did.
That's it. All right. So anyway, from outer space back to the bottom of the sea. That is Aquatica, Cold Waters. I'm Eric. That's Tiffany. We are
Terrific Pace Game. I usually say just got played.
I know. I see. I switched it up
on me.
And we're with
Just Got Played.
All right. Excellent. Thanks for joining us. You'll have a great night.
Have a great night.
Happy gaming.
We hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please leave a comment or hit the like button. It really does help us out. If you have suggestions for future videos, let us know in the comments as well, and then subscribe to see what we come up with next.